Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 216th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the Revel Advertising Studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How you doing today, Kyle?
Doing great, Cameron. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Doing well. You did like a little shoulder shrug there, like you weren't sure.
Yeah. Well, I have something I want to ask you. This is kind of a weird question, but I've been meaning to ask you multiple times now. What?
Here we go.
This is off topic a little bit. Okay. Do you ever just get like a shiver?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I get a shiver in a very specific moment, and I want to know if anybody can relate to
When
this.
you were urinating.
No. That's not what I was going to say.
Okay. I wish that was it. Made this moment a little less weird.
Well, yeah, that's on you. I'm talking about when I'm driving in the car.
Okay.
And on like a 2-lane road, and a car comes the other way. They just go by, and it's like I'm thinking about how close these cars are to each other and how they could hit each other really easily, and it gives me a shiver.
Like your body like physically.
Yeah, like involuntary. I'm just like.
That's a lot of shivering. If you're
well, it's not like
You're just driving down the highway.
Like, dang, it's cold in here. Okay, so
not all the time.
Okay.
It's just like on narrower roads when there's not a shoulder, and then if I think about it, oh, that car, we're actually passing each other pretty close.
Did you like expect that might be something that someone else experiences?
Well, so I asked my wife if that was something she has ever experienced. She said no, and I just wanted to reach out to both of you and our listeners.
I think you got something wrong with you.
I need somebody to say that they've experienced this.
I mean, I have noticed, like, I'll be sitting in, like, a left turn lane and cars are zipping by me and the car kind of shakes or whatever. I've noticed that before, but my body doesn't shake at all.
Just the car.
Just the car, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, that's kind of weird, I guess, but
I want to get that checked out.
I just need somebody out there to tell me that they experienced this also. And lie if you have to. Somebody help me out. Not you guys, you already were truthful, but do you think anybody out there will say yes?
Probably not.
Well, that was really weighing on my mind, so just need to get that off my chest. What do we have to talk about today? We're going to stick with basketball as that is fast approaching, and we have the homecoming football game against Vanderbilt to preview. But before we do that, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. Kyle, I wanted to let's start out with basketball this week. It was too taxing on my brain to go back and forth. Football, basketball. So we'll start the show with basketball. A couple things that I thought was interesting. Coach Gates was in the news today because it is basketball media days, and he and Kobe Brown and Nick Honor were talking to the press, and Coach Gates apparently said that he would like to see the NCAA tournament field doubled.
Do we know the context of that quote? Like, was it just like...
I know nothing about this at all.
Were they just like, yeah, wouldn't that be fun? And he was like, yeah, probably. Or did he actually say, like...
I think...
I'm in support of this.
He was asked about expanding the field generally, and I think he volunteered the concept of doubling the field.
Well, I mean, that would...
A lot of people think he's dumb for saying that.
Yeah, I mean, I like March Madness. I'm not going to argue with more basketball, but that's a little out there, a little over the top, but,
Yeah, I think people on Twitter are making a way bigger deal out of that than there is. That's literally never going to happen.
Well, and they would never do something like that.
Yeah, Twitter people?
Yes, they would never blow anything out of proportion.
That's true. I can't believe they did it here. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. I don't know if he was joking. I don't think he was joking, but I don't really understand his thought process there. But
yeah, I think
he said something like, "There's a lot of really good coaches and teams that don't make it."
Yeah,
like, oh well,
true. All he needs is a chance. Did you see that C.Y. Young interview that they did with Mizzou? That's Who podcast, I believe. Mm-hmm. Pretty. What were your thoughts?
He's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm all in on his vision, Coach Gates' vision. It was nice to hear him just kind of talk about his feelings when he got the call from Coach Gates and that whole thing, and a little bit of his background and what he's bringing to the job, just like mentally. I don't know. I think I'm more excited than ever for the coaching staff and their vision, and just the way he talks about what he does. He has so much passion for it. And because Conzo Martin was our most recent head basketball coach, it's hard not to compare coaches like that. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like Conzo probably sounded something like that maybe like when he got the Tennessee job. And because he talked, CY talked about, having high character players and not necessarily filling your team with one and dones. You want to have these 3-4 year guys that bring continuity and stability to the program, and that's how you build a program. And, a lot of the stuff he said reminded me of like things we would hear from Conzo, but just like taken up a notch. Just like Conzo, if he was high energy and seemed like he was working really, really, really hard.
Yeah, a little more basketball focused almost. I feel like Conzo would just almost too much like hammer home the like mentor role, which is great. That's fine. But, we're still, this is going to make me sound terrible, but also we want to win games and we're excited about watching good basketball.
Yeah.
And clearly that's incredibly important to CY Young. And you can see why,
You can see why.
That's really strange. You can see why he's a great recruiter. He's so charismatic and personable. Like he was just, calling people by name and, talking about Mizzou's history and how he grew up watching Mizzou basketball. Was talking about, all the names from Mizzou's past, but clearly demonstrated a love and not great knowledge of the sport, and like you said, just a passion for what he does. I feel like we're in great hands right now.
He mentioned, he was talking about like his different stops in coaching, and he said something like, he was talking about the fact that in the SEC and high major Division I basketball, it takes the whole staff to put together incredible recruiting classes year after year. And he said something about like at a lower level when he was an assistant coach, he could basically just dominate recruiting on his own.
What was the word he used? Like terrorize everybody?
Yeah. He would terrorize that league by himself in recruiting.
Yeah.
And he said, you can't quite do that in the SEC. It takes more than one person. But I don't know. I like having an assistant coach that's capable of terrorizing other coaches in recruiting.
I agree.
And it's just getting started. They've already got a nice little recruiting class. Okay, also, about the timeline of things, he specifically mentioned 2025 recruiting class as being, he didn't necessarily, I don't know if he meant to divulge this exactly. He was very talkative on the interview. I encourage everyone to go listen to that. But he said 2025 is his target for having a impact, big program-changing class.
There's some big fish in that class.
Yeah.
Especially from the state of Missouri. But, just seemed like a guy that, every coach is going to sound like this in their first year, but truly just sounded like a guy that was invested in the long haul, made the decision to come here knowing that they were going to try their absolute best to put Mizzou back on the map where they should be and stay here long term if things go well, which I think they will.
Yeah, and he used the word rebuild probably 20 times. And it doesn't, maybe the average Mizzou fan might not think, didn't necessarily think of a rebuild coming off of last basketball season. You wouldn't have necessarily thought, we got to rebuild this program. And knowing that that's how they're looking at it and how they're going about it, I'm just more optimistic than ever.
And one more thing. He talked about at least what I watched of it, he talked about the transfer portal like in a positive light. And it's funny kind of like how the fans view the transfer portal and how coaches view the transfer portal. And obviously maybe he's not divulging everything that he feels about it, but he was like, "Oh, transfer portal's great. Like it allows you to go get like a game-changing player just like that."
Yeah, he seemed so confident.
Yeah,
and that was one thing that really stuck out to me.
Yep.
All right, well, sticking with basketball, it's time for us to look at the schedule and give some predictions. And I want to just kind of talk about our expectations, what we would consider a successful season, what would we call a disappointing season, and, how much, what's kind of the window that we're looking at as far as wins and losses, and how good could we be, how bad could we be. Maybe, Kyle, just give me your thoughts before we dive completely into the schedule in this transition to a new coaching staff and everything. Do you kind of have an idea going into year one of a new coaching staff? Is there something in your mind that helps you like not overestimate things or not get too excited when you have all these new pieces and new coaching staff and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have enough to go on, like with a lot of the players on this team, to know this probably isn't like a national championship caliber team. These are a lot of the players in this team have played together and they've played with Dennis Gates, but a lot of them are coming from low mid majors. We've seen players really work out like that, like Drew Smith, or some of those guys, but it's not always just a smash that high performers at a lower level are going to come up to the SEC and play super well. But you can definitely see pieces like Isaiah Mosley, and there's definitely pieces that you can create the story that Missouri has a pretty strong season, or at least has the potential to. But I think you just, in some of the things you observe through interviews, or you can pick up in that interview with COI Young, that he does not expect this team to knock it out of the park this year. This is a long-term project. This is a rebuild, and they're not going to come out and win 25 games this year necessarily. But there's a lot of pieces to like. Yeah,
and he mentioned how tough the schedule is.
Yeah, that's true.
It is in SEC play.
Welcome to the SEC.
Yeah, they're in the KenPom preseason ratings. There's no triple-digit SEC teams. All top 100 teams in the SEC. Missouri is right there at 41st, I think?
Yeah, I do actually feel like a lot of the analytics sites like Missouri quite a bit, all things considered, like in a first year with a new coach and 12 new players.
Yeah.
I feel like the analytics sites are viewing them pretty favorably.
Yeah, KenPom has them 41st.
Isaiah Mosley helps a lot.
Yeah, Bart Torvik 49th. So those are all just computer-driven systems. They seem to like Missouri, at least better than we've seen the last few years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if everything went exactly how it's predicted, we would be better this year than we have been.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I think that is pretty realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would be a lot. I'm trying to think back to Konzo Martin's first year, splash recruiting class, Michael Porter Jr., everything. I still feel like it was okay, well, let's just get to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
If this is a bubble team and we end up on the right side of the bubble, we'll be happy. I feel like it's probably where we're headed with this team, but we'll see. Looking at the schedule, there's no way we absolutely should be 7-0.
Yeah.
Going into a road matchup with Wichita State.
Yeah, the non-conference is pretty interesting. It's basically terrible teams or Kansas. It's there's really not a lot of in between. It's very tough games, or basically if you lose this, we have serious issues.
Yeah, there's those 7 games at the beginning of the first 7 games should all be wins. We're going to both pencil in 7-0 start. But then we have a road game against Wichita State. They're a top 100 team. It's on the road with everything, with all the turnover, everything new with Missouri. Because this is a road game, I have Missouri losing this game.
Yeah, I mean, this is about as toss-up as you can possibly get. I don't think Wichita State's that great, to be honest. But if they're playing this game at home, I think they win. But yeah, I could see this as a loss on the road.
Then Missouri plays SEMO at home. That's going to be a win. And then the big home game, the big non-conference game matchup against Kansas. And now I honestly kind of feel like, I don't know, if they roll in there, 9-0, like we could be looking at 2 undefeated teams. Missouri's probably not cracking the top 25 with that kind of strength of schedule, but
Probably not. That's a huge game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of hate when we do this because we do this in football season too. Like, remember earlier this season, I think we definitely had the potential to be 4-0 going to the Georgia game. Exact same situation here where it's like we could realistically be 9-0 going into the Kansas game. I feel like putting expectations on Missouri like that in the past has not gone super well, but it is possible. And either way, assuming Missouri takes care of business in the games they should win, this is still going to be probably an 8-1 team versus Kansas, and that's going to be really, really exciting at home, obviously.
Kansas is going to be good again.
Yeah, I mean, last year I was almost just like dreading that game because we were terrible and we were on the road, and there was, we're probably not winning that game if we played it 100 times. But this is not impossible that we could win this game.
Yeah, I think until we see Missouri basketball under Dennis Gates win a marquee matchup, I'm just going to kind of be pessimistic going into each one.
Can you imagine the Dennis Gates hype?
Oh my gosh.
What if we were 9-0 and then win this game?
That'd be off the charts hype levels.
Unreal.
I don't want to set myself up for that kind of disappointment.
Tempt myself into thinking of that.
So I'm going to pencil this Kansas game in as a loss.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to see a good game, close game, a packed out arena.
Yeah.
A lot of fight from the team.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. We hate Kansas with everything within ourselves, but this is the defending national champions. They're still going to be really good. They reloaded with transfers and all that stuff. So, I would love to see a close game. Get Mizzou arena rocking, and that'd be fun. But I'm agree with you. That's a loss.
Okay, so the next game on the schedule is they play UCF. It's not at UCF, but it is in Florida. And that I kind of have Wichita State and UCF. I think we split those games. So I've got this one as a win because I had Wichita State as a loss. I think it could go the other way, but I've got us winning one of those and losing one of those.
Yeah, I can see that.
Then another marquee matchup, this time against a top 50 Illinois team in St. Louis. And I'll just get ahead of it right now. In my head, this Missouri team, I feel like they're going to win the games they're supposed to win and lose the games they're supposed to lose. I don't feel like the pieces are there to go on a nice winning streak with 2 upset wins and a bunch of road wins. They're just not going to be there, I don't think. If Mizzou Arena can be full night in, night out, then we have the chance to upset some teams at home, I think. But this is not the talent level on the Missouri team is not going to be there to have these huge upsets. The Illinois game being in St. Louis, that's basically always a toss-up. Throw the records out, as I say. But I think it's going to be Illinois' turn to take home the victory.
It's nice and everything, but I'm going to disagree with you. I think this is a little put the world on notice Isaiah Mosley game.
Okay.
He's going to drop 30 points, and Missouri's going to beat Illinois.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, I feel like Illinois, they're guard heavy, and I think, Missouri can keep up with that. I think Missouri's strengths are obviously going to be their guards this year. I think they match up fairly well. Get a few buckets to drop, they can win.
Yeah. Again, I think Missouri's defense and guard play are going to be there to keep them in most games. I don't see this Missouri team getting blown out a ton. They are going to try to play with some decent pace, which then if the shots aren't falling from outside, it could get ugly in a few matchups. But I think the defense will keep them in it. I think they'll score enough to get by in some of these matchups. Then that's just kind of an insane stretch here. Kansas, UCF, Illinois, and then to start off SEC play, home against number 1 in KenPom, Kentucky, and then road matchup against Arkansas. I've got us losing both of those.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the reasoning I gave for a chance to beat Illinois, it's like the reason we will definitely not beat Kentucky, because I feel like their strength is like Oscar Tshiebwe. He's just going to bully this kind of Mizzou team where we don't have anybody that can even remotely put up a fight against a player like Tshiebwe on the inside. And
thinking about it right now, what are they even going to do?
I don't know. We'd have to shoot 80% from 3 to win this game, I think. Like, just Kentucky will be so much bigger, longer than us in this game, unfortunately. And I think Tshiebwe could just go for 20 and 20 against us.
Yeah, I'm agreeing there. Okay, what about the Trevon Brazil revenge game?
Yeah, on the road,
Arkansas?
That's going to be really tough to win. I mean, I think Arkansas has the makings of a team that can really disappoint. Like, a lot of young players, like that. Some of those players like kind of fit the mold of like that Kentucky from the past couple of years, where it's like they're all athletic, they're long, but they can't shoot at all.
Yeah, a lot of overlap at
Yes.
like the forward position.
Yeah, a lot of like lanky forwards who might not be ready for like the college game yet, but like will probably be great NBA players in 5 years or something.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
But on the road though, that's going to be really tough. I unfortunately feel like Trevon Brazil is going to be great at Arkansas. Not that I like would wish him poorly necessarily, but it's going to be
not
tough.
necessarily.
It's going to be tough to watch, I think, knowing he probably makes Missouri a much better team this year if he was still in Columbia.
We're going to bounce back, though, with a home win against Vanderbilt, I think.
I agree.
And I've got it extending into a road victory over Texas A&M. I think we're not going to win a lot of road games this year in conference play. I think that's one of 2 conference road games that I have Missouri winning. Is that one against A&M? And then I have Missouri losing to Florida on the road and then getting swept with the Razorbacks coming to Mizzou Arena.
Yeah, I've got them losing all of those games you just mentioned on the road at A&M, on the road at Florida, and then home in Arkansas. I think they lose all 3 of those as well. So that would put them at 11-7 for me if I was picking all those games so far.
Yeah, I feel like, spoiler alert, I have Missouri going 9-9 in conference play.
Unbelievable.
But
Spoiler.
I feel like they're going to be hovering right around 500 all season.
Sure.
In conference play.
Yeah.
The games against like 300 level KenPom teams early are going to make the record look decent all season long. But as long as we can stay right around 500, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
In conference play, that is. And I do have us winning a home matchup against Alabama.
Yeah, give me a win against Alabama as well. I think, I think Missouri's tough defensive-minded guards can slow down Alabama and to home.
Then I've got a loss at Mississippi State. What do you think there?
Ole Miss, you mean?
That's what I meant.
I think we'll win that game.
Okay.
I think that'll be one of the few away games we pull off. I think that I've got them at 13-7 at that point.
Then we play Iowa State yet again for like the
my gosh.
50th time since leaving the Big 12. We play Iowa State this time at home, and Iowa State surprised everybody last year by winning like 20 more games than the year before. They're going to be decent, but not incredible by any means. The game's at home. I think Missouri wins.
For whatever reason, I feel like that's going to be like an ugly, low-scoring game that Missouri loses at home in disappointing fashion.
How about a bounce back at home against LSU?
Sounds good to me.
How about this time a road loss to Mississippi State?
Yeah, I could see that. We have played terribly against Mississippi State, I feel like, the whole time we've been in the SEC. It's a curse.
But a bounce back home win against South Carolina. South Carolina going to be one of the worst teams in the SEC this year.
I can't even think of their new coach's name.
We'll find out. I'll tell you shortly. We'll talk about a few coaches here.
Okay.
Then probably the biggest margin of defeat for Missouri this year at Tennessee.
Why does Tennessee got to be good at everything?
Seriously.
That's annoying.
That's honestly awful. And I wouldn't have put that together
You're welcome.
if you hadn't said anything. Yeah, Missouri's going to probably lose pretty bad to Tennessee. And then they're going to also lose on the road to Auburn.
I agree.
But I've got a nice finish to the season here. Back-to-back home wins over A&M and Mississippi State.
I'm with you.
A road victory over Georgia.
Mike White?
Yeah. They're bad
Okay,
still.
I'll go with you.
He's got some work to do.
I'll go with you there.
But lose at LSU. But then finish off with a home win over Ole Miss.
Yeah, I agree with you. That puts them, at least on my projections, 19-12,
Yep.
which is exactly what Kent Palm has predicted them.
Yeah, also me as well, 19-12.
Okay, let me. You said 9-9 in the SEC though.
Yeah.
Okay, let me count mine really quick.
And there's going to absolutely be like probably 6 or 7 teams within one game of each other in the middle of the SEC standings. If, there's like one game in conference play is going to be the difference between the right side of the NCAA bubble.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, 9-9 in the SEC as well. Yeah, I mean, if they go 19-12, 9-9 in the SEC, like pretty much exact scenario that we just pick, that's pretty much sticking with, like, they didn't really beat anybody, but they didn't really lose any terrible games, like that. And that's just the nature of these predictions. Like, we're not going to come out and predict a win against Kentucky or something. Like,
yeah, there's not really a bad loss after. There's not an opportunity for a bad loss.
That's true.
After December 4th.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's if you put the outcomes on like a bell curve, like obviously, 8-10 in the SEC, 9-9 is going to be like right in the middle of the bell curve, but they're probably not going to take this route. It's going to be unexpected twists and turns all the way there, but on average, they probably will finish about 9-9. That pretty much does, like you said, put us pretty squarely in the bubble conversation, maybe on the right side.
Yeah, 9-9 is honestly quite a bit better than being 8-10.
Right. Yeah, it's crowded in the middle of the SEC when you get around the 500 in conference play.
Last year, 5 teams finished 9-9, and a 6th finished 8-10.
Yeah, that's why some of those losses can be so painful. It's because you just know when you get to the end of the season, every win's going to be really important in the seeding conversation, and especially in a big tournament like this where if Missouri had a shot at, those top 4 seeds, that would just make such a big difference because you literally are just on the sidelines watching games for 2 days before you even have to play.
Who do you want to know who their coach is? Mississippi State?
South Carolina.
Mississippi State is Chris Johns.
That's from New Mexico State guy.
Yeah. You wanted to know South Carolina.
Yes, please.
Lamont Paris.
Oh, that's right.
Formerly of Chattanooga.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, there's a lot of new coaches.
So that's what I wanted to get to was 9-9 in conference play. That's kind of an easy prediction to make when you're looking at a Missouri team that's top 50-ish in the country. Not having seen them play and with all the new pieces, the variance is pretty significant. I mean, and that's going to be true for half the league this year. I think Georgia is a safe bet to be bottom 4. I think South Carolina is a safe bet to be bottom 4. Outside of that, I don't know. Like, in reality, Missouri could be bottom 4.
Yep.
That's kind of where the floor is. I don't think
that's where they were picked.
That's
today,
true. They were picked 11th by the media.
Yep. And again, they just win 1 or 2 more games than they're supposed to, and they could be like 5th.
Yeah.
Like that's just how crowded the middle of the pack is. So you never know. Or if they lose a couple more than they should, they can be 12th or 13th.
Yeah. So this past year, Missouri finished 12th at 5-13, and 11th was 7-11. 10th was 8-10. So the margin for error is razor thin. And now I have some confidence because Missouri's defense will be able to keep them in games, and we have a legit game closer in Isaiah Mosley.
Yeah, Isaiah Mosley's going to be the best scorer Missouri's had on their team since maybe Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah.
I mean, he's that talented. I've seen him play so many times. He has an uncanny ability to score. He's a really well-rounded player, but that's what he's going to do best. That's what's going to stand out when you watch him play is just how many times he finds a way to put the ball in the basket, especially after 4 seasons of Konzo Martin ball. It's going to be refreshing.
Yeah, especially early, these first 10 games with so many inferior opponents.
Yes.
Just letting some, I don't know, just be kind of like junk food a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really doing a whole lot, but it's going to feel good.
Oh, yeah. At least in the moment, it'll feel really nice to see.
Okay, so what in your mind would constitute a disappointing season? I feel like 11th in the SEC is borderline disappointing.
Yeah. If they lose a couple, if they, stumble in one of these non-conference games, a couple of these are like sub 300 KenPom teams that they're just not going to lose to. But, a couple of those teams like Penn or Coastal Carolina, they could, could be competitive games. If they find a way to lose one of those, or if they go, 500 on the season, maybe, I think that might be a little underwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. It was almost like we talk about them winning the games they're supposed to win. Obviously, you do that, you're not going to be that disappointing. Mm-hmm. But some of these, a loss is, think about Charleston Southern, how that loss just kind of derailed the entire season.
That was a bad loss.
And now, new coaching staff, first year, you've got a lot of leash. Nobody's going to be worried too much, even if they do lose a head scratcher. So I'm not too worried about being disappointed.
You don't know what Mizzou Twitter is capable of.
Yeah, well.
Just kidding. I love you. I love you guys.
We love you, just not when you're on Twitter.
You're like family members to me.
So 11th in the SEC, not the end of the world, not that disappointing, but, botching a couple of these non-conference games would be frustrating. Mm-hmm. Now, on the positive side, I really struggle to see Missouri finishing better than, well, you mentioned 5th in the conference.
Yeah. Double bye is not in play this year, probably.
I don't think so.
There's 4.
5th last year was 9-9.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I feel like the top 3 or 4 teams in the SEC are really, really strong. Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas. Who am I missing? Those 3 teams right there. Auburn. Yeah. Those 4 teams are probably top 5 seeds in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and honestly, when you're talking about the entire conference being top 100 programs this year, even the rebuilds like Missouri, Georgia, South Carolina, anybody at home can beat anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that makes me super excited for home against Arkansas, home against Alabama.
Yeah, those are opportunities, always are. Even the Konzo Martin team that was pretty much, we knew he was on the way out, took number 1 in the country Auburn to the wire last year.
Right.
So you have no idea when those kind of teams are going to be on an off night or whatever. Anything can happen.
So let's talk about the NCAA tournament real quick. 9-9, 19-12 overall. I honestly would not feel super comfortable on Selection Sunday without a win over Kansas or Illinois.
Or a decent SEC tournament run.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think a 19-12, 99 season, that's putting them in squarely in the bubble. Maybe that 10-11 seed, maybe a little play-in game action as an 11 seed, something like that.
I am going to predict that with this record, Missouri doesn't have enough marquee wins. They're just kind of middling in the SEC. I'm going to say Missouri is on the wrong side of the bubble and is a 2 seed in the NIT.
I think I'd still be happy with that.
Yeah.
For the most part. I think the goal for Missouri basketball should be to make the NCAA tournament every year. Obviously, this year is the first year of a new coaching staff. But if this scenario exactly played out with a good win over Illinois and some good SEC wins, I think they sneak in. Maybe 11 seed.
Yeah, I mean, you've got them with a couple wins that would be maybe enough in the selection committee.
And maybe if Isaiah Mosley was playing really well and looked like maybe like a fun NCAA tournament kind of player. I don't know if the committee does anything like that.
Yeah.
Like a little tiebreaker over somebody else.
Yeah, and you mentioned the SEC tournament. I mean, that's every year. There's probably, I don't know, what would you say, 10 or so teams across the country, like the Power 5 teams that get on the right side of the bubble.
Improve their resume right there at the end. Yeah, I mean, we've seen the committee be pretty partial to teams that look like they're hot late. Yeah. Like, go on a run in their conference tournaments or whatever. But Missouri's been historically awful in the SEC tournament, but new coach.
I think I'm just about done with this. I did want to mention we don't even have to wait until November 7th against Southern Indiana to watch this Mizzou basketball team. They have an exhibition game at home against Washington University November 3rd.
It's like 2 weeks away.
Very close.
Wash U.
Yep. That's what they call it. Let us know what you guys think about the schedule. I mean, look at the SEC slate. It's insane.
It's brutal.
Like, there's usually a team or two that you can just pencil in as a win. That's not going to happen this year for anybody. I mean, I don't care if I'm Kentucky. I'm not going to look forward to playing at Texas A&M or, at LSU. Nobody wants that. At Mizzou. Let's make it tough. You ready to switch gears to football?
I'm ready.
Now, in SEC football, there is a team that you're expected to win against. You're expected to beat Vanderbilt. And that is Missouri's next opponent. Missouri has not looked great. They've looked like they can compete with some really good teams, but it's like until they win an SEC game, I don't know. I can't feel too terribly confident.
Yeah, there's definitely an aspect of you need to show me you can do it before I can pick you to win a game. But obviously, you got to beat Vanderbilt, especially a Vanderbilt team that is terrible defensively. Second-year coach where they don't look like they've really improved a whole lot since the team they were when they fired their last coach. So this is a classic Vanderbilt team that just has to be beat, even by a bad Missouri team.
Got to put them down.
Got to put them down. Got to put them in their place.
Vanderbilt is 3-4 so far in the season. They beat Hawaii, Elon, and Northern Illinois.
Now, you were kind of on that Vanderbilt train there for a little while after they beat Hawaii.
They put up 63 points in that game.
Kind of scared you a little bit?
I thought maybe they had turned a corner a little bit. Their offense is not bad.
Not bad.
They have given the ball to freshman quarterback A.J. Swan, and he's decent, especially for a freshman in the SEC. 60% completion percentage, 953 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. Yeah,
he does not turn the ball over at all, and it's pretty rare for a true freshman quarterback. So it would be great if we could force some errors, but he seems pretty composed so far.
Yeah, their offense as a whole is pretty efficient. Like you said, they don't turn the ball over. Their whole thing is not having negative plays. I mean, that's what every offense wants, but they make that very much a priority. So I don't even expect Missouri to be taking the ball away left and right against Vanderbilt, but if Missouri can just... There's a dog barking in the background. If you hear that, that's on our end. It's not your dog barking at home.
Dogs are acting strange.
Yeah, something's going on. Where was I? If Missouri's defense can... I don't really expect them to make that many splash plays against Vanderbilt, but I think they'll be able to just kind of shut them down at the line of scrimmage for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about it, I mean, obviously, I think the Georgia game was a little fluky on their part, but Missouri's defense has looked fantastic at times. I don't think they've played any great offenses yet. You know, Auburn and Florida kind of have their issues. I don't think it's insane to say that Vanderbilt's offense is on par with Florida and Auburn, especially whenever Auburn's got their second or third string quarterback in there. But I definitely do feel like the opportunity for Missouri to win this game is on offense. This is a get-right game, hopefully, for a Mizzou offense that had an off week or a bye week to kind of recharge and heal up a little bit and, get some key pieces back. And I feel like if Missouri's offense can't look good in this game, I don't know that they can do it. I don't know that they can look good against anybody.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's defense is worst in the SEC in points per game allowed at 39.4. Now, they've had a tough... I mean, they've played Alabama
Hawaii.
And Georgia already.
Hawaii.
And Hawaii, of course.
Yes.
But they've only lost to ranked teams. So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Vanderbilt's defense, not good. We should be able to do whatever we want. I mean, within reason, our plays should be able to work. There should be running room. The offensive line should be getting a push. I'm not scared of Vanderbilt's defense whatsoever.
Yeah, Missouri's offense has been its Achilles heel so far for sure, but I think in some ways we have showed pretty steady improvement game to game. Brady, not where he needs to be, not a guy that's going to lead us to anything meaningful ever, but has improved in some ways. Offensive line definitely has looked better at the point of attack the last few games. So yeah, this is a game where I would love to see, Luther Burden go for 90, 100 receiving yards or something like that. Really have a game that gets his confidence back and kind of gives Missouri fans something to be excited about for the future. And I don't know. Maybe Dominic Lovett just continues to pour it on, but I don't know who it's going to be. But I do feel like Missouri's offense is going to look good.
Before we give our official predictions for the score and everything, we should talk about some developments going into this game personnel-wise. It was just announced today that it looks like Lovett and Burden are both healthy and will play. Of course, Luther Burden had an ankle thing. He was had to be carried off the field against Florida. Yeah,
I think even as recently as maybe earlier this week, there was some uncertainty on Luther Burden's status, but it was just announced just a few minutes ago. Dave Matters said that they are both good to go for the game, are healthy, so hopefully they don't have any setbacks.
I think big game for Lovett. Now, there's been a lot of chatter during the bye week about the quarterback position because Coach Drinkwitz and his staff have been letting the young guys get a lot of run in the drills and scrimmages and stuff in practice. Perfectly good use of a bye week. However, that means Sam Horn's name has been thrown around a bit, even by Coach Drinkwitz. He has said that Horn has looked good. And then just today, Dave Matter wrote an article where he was talking to Brady Cook, and Cook he went and watched every single throw that he's made so far this year and was trying to learn from it. And he says he thinks he can turn a corner, and the rest of this season is going to be good.
He's hell-bent.
Yes.
On turning the season around, Cam.
That is exactly what Dave Matter said.
Yeah.
So what's going on with quarterback? It's just going to be Brady Cook the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. Coach Drinkwitz is going to say Brady Cook gives us the best chance to win right now. Brady Cook's going to be the quarterback in every game he's healthy for, and we'll probably beat who we're supposed to beat and lose who we're supposed to lose to, and we will probably win 5 games and not go to a bowl game. And Sam Horn will be the quarterback next year. And what this does is, it opens up the door for us to be speculating. It opens up the door for Mizzou Twitter to do what they do. And
then what was the point?
because I just, you can argue with whether or not he should have done it, but I feel like he has to address what the elephant in the room. I feel like he has to say something like, yeah, I know he's here. I know he's talented. He's going to be leading this team someday, but maybe it's not right now. And I don't know that I like that. I mean, that's kind of ballsy, like going out there and saying that, because we're just going to react with venom whenever, Brady Cook trots out there on Saturday. It's probably going to happen. So I don't know. Maybe Sam Horn gets a drive. I don't know. If the game's close, there's no way it's happening.
Yeah, don't plan on it.
Don't plan on it.
And everything's working for Brady Cook to play this entire game, of course. Coming off a bye, get things together. You're playing Vanderbilt. Worst, the only legitimately bad defense that you're going to play in the SEC. Why would you do anything other than let Brady Cook have a good game, hopefully?
Yeah. And even if Sam Horn went out there and against a bad defense and throws a touchdown or something, everyone's just going to ramp it up even more and thinks he needs to be out there, which I don't know. I don't know if it would help us in the present or not, but I do think that it would be nice to at least see some young guys get out there, considering the way this season's gone. But
Gary Pinkel spoiled us with that, letting the next guy have a series every game.
Yeah.
But also we were spoiled by just all the great quarterbacks that we had.
Yeah.
It was always our starter's great, and here, get a little sneak peek of what's next, and he's good too. Be ready for that.
Yeah.
And now we're like, oh, our starter's not great, and we're not getting a sneak peek of what's.
What happens if you just put Sam Horn out there? I mean, this is never gonna happen. But let's just say Sam Horn starts, and he looks terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens then? Does Brady Cook come back and start the week after that, and we're just kind of like, what was that?
No, if you
got to roll with him.
Yeah,
right
if you
at
start
that point.
Horn, then it's over. You're like,
I mean, we played. Drew Lock looked horrible his freshman year, but he pretty much had to play.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a comparable situation.
Yeah. I don't know.
I just expect Brady Cook to go out there.
We didn't need to say a single word after you just laid down exactly how it's going to go. But that'd be no fun.
But what if though? We're gonna be pumped though if it happens.
If what happens?
If we see Sam Horn out there.
Yeah, we would be excited. Gosh, it's not gonna happen.
Why are you talking to me like I'm crazy?
Okay, I'm gonna write down my prediction here. I think Missouri's favored by 14 points.
Seems large.
I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm gonna write down my score prediction.
Okay. I'm gonna write mine down. Don't look at it.
There it is. I wrote it down. Now you can just say yours because I already wrote mine down.
All right, give me Missouri 38-28.
Wow, it's a little bit more scoring than I have. I've got Missouri 34-21.
Okay, I'd take either. Give me a win.
Yeah, that Missouri not covering the spread in either one of our scores. 14's a lot.
I mean, what is Vegas like?
What do they like?
Yeah, what are they seeing? It's 14.
I think they like fake,
Close
they like
game.
neon signs, like palm trees, lights, debauchery.
Why do they like Missouri so much in this game? Just because it's Vanderbilt?
I guess.
I mean,
they must not have watched the Hawaii game.
Vegas always knows.
They don't know this.
They always know.
They don't know Missouri's offense.
They don't know the horrors that we've seen.
Right. Okay. That's that. Now we get to pick some more games. SEC Pick'em minus Nebraska. They're too scared to play this week.
Don't blame them.
Big slate.
Oh, yeah. Huge slate this week. But before we get into that, we'll recap last week. Cameron had 2 points. Kyle had 8 points. I had 5 points. And the guest pickers had 3 points.
Good week for me.
Yeah, so what's the standings now?
Season totals. Cameron has 40. The guest pickers have 46. Kyle has 50. And I have 52.
Ooh.
I'm 12 points back. Holy cow.
I picked against Alabama, and I was right. I actually got like 10 points for that. That never happens.
Sounds like cheating. I picked Nebraska, and they lost.
Well,
So I
you not
deserve
to.
everything that has
you
happened.
deserve that.
Yes. They can't do it to me this week, though.
All right. First game. Number 7, Ole Miss at LSU. LSU is a 2-point favorite. Our guest picker this week is Ben.
Welcome in, Ben.
Picks Ole Miss.
Yeah, I got to go Ole Miss here.
Producer Cameron.
I'll take Ole Miss.
I'll take Ole Miss.
Okay, I might want to switch.
Go ahead.
Kyle's a closet LSU fan.
True. He's not even that in the closet about it. You like LSU?
I've been there.
Yeah.
That's why.
It's at LSU.
Who's
Mhm.
LSU's quarterback?
Jalen Daniels.
How's he doing?
Good. You just had to bring that up.
Yeah.
I
I think it's Jaden.
Yes. Okay, give me LSU.
Okay.
All right. Number 24, Mississippi State at number 6, Alabama. Alabama is a 21-point favorite.
I'll take Alabama.
Bama bounce back.
Me too. Everybody on Bama.
I'd like to see Alabama after losses under Nick Saban.
Well, congratulations. You'll get that on Saturday.
You'll get to see it.
Don't get to see that very often, but you will get that chance, Cameron. It's coming.
I meant like...
He knows what you meant.
Does he? I don't know sometimes. Okay, go ahead.
They're all mad and sad. That's just like every other team.
Texas A&M at South Carolina. Texas A&M is a 3-point favorite. Give me South Carolina.
What'd Ben pick?
South Carolina.
Oh, that's easy A&M for me.
I don't know what to do.
Bro, South Carolina, really?
A&M? It's fraudulent v. fraudulent right now.
That's true.
I'll take A&M.
Good choice.
Cool. That's it.
That's it. That's all.
That's it.
If you can make up ground this week, that's impressive. But it could happen.
It could.
I'm trying to.
That it?
That it?
That it?
All right. Special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above. Britt, Treese, Brian Smith. I like how we say above, even though it's nothing. None of them are above. Britt, Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan D. Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Luis Hernandez, Tim Keens, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Garofalo, Brandon Hanks.
Thank you, gentlemen, for supporting the podcast. And you can find this podcast on Google, Apple, and Spotify. We're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Thank you everyone for listening. We will see you next week after a win.